Seeing the faces out or the people out here. I mean, you got a much healthier offensive group, especially in your receiving core. How nice is that?
It's always good, you know. You know, they're always going to tell you that they always got something. So, but it's good to have them back, you know, and having some time off, let them get away from football, and then come back and focus on it, heal their bumps and bruises. You know, it's always good.
Having Kyle Oxley back in, I mean, on two fronts has to be key because he's developing as a receiver, and Taylor took a lot of shots in that game against the Bombers because he had to do everything.
Right. Yeah, it's big, you know. For us, having him as a dual threat, as a receiver, then he can come in and play quarterback and different things of that nature and be a backup and things of that nature. That's always a bonus for you. You know, he's a smart kid. He's hungry. He's, you know, always trying to get better. So that's even better. That's a bigger plus than anything.
Is it a big scramble, or was it a big scramble for you getting ready for Winnipeg just because you didn't have Darrell, you didn't have Kai, you had, you know, Hakeem Butler, and now Caleb has been here for a while.
I mean,
is it a bit different? Or
on the outside looking in, it may be,
yeah.
you know, but we practice and we prepare as next man up. So as coaches, we can't treat it any differently. The next guy up, you got to put the utmost confidence in him. You got to have him ready. You know, if he's not ready when he's the second or third player, you know, how's he going to be ready when it's time for him to jump up there? So we prepare, you know, by going double barrel practices and things of this nature. Our guys probably get more reps than a lot of other teams across the league, you know, our seconds and thirds. So, you know, it's next man up.
Coach Mack, how challenging has it been just with I mean, you've had 3 different quarterbacks start this season and that sort of thing. Have you been through any sort of scenario like that in the past?
I mean, you know, in this business, you're always going to come across when you're losing quarterbacks and trying to figure out who's the quarterback and things of that nature. So, yeah, I've been through it, you know, and you prepare for it the best way that you can. You never can prepare for injuries, but when you got the guys here, you got to prepare them the best way you can and try to hone in to do things that are to their strengths and not their weaknesses.
You would have seen Taylor Cornelius before, but what are your thoughts on him now that you're under the hood with him here?
I mean, Taylor's a funny cat, you know. It's like his demeanor doesn't change, you know. I think the biggest time that I seen his eyes light up is when I told him that he was starting. And, you know, from that, his eyes lit up, and he wasn't focused before, but he's been focused like hell ever since.
That's quite a promotion to go from not even dressing for games this year.
Big, but you know, I mean, he always understood, and we tried to make sure he understood. You know, he's been a starter.
Yeah.
He has to always prepare as a starter. So I told him, you know, even when he wasn't dressing, you can't prepare like a backup. You know, you're going to get reps, maybe not as many, but you're going to get reps, but you got to stay in tune to this thing and prepare like you're the starter every week because you're one play away.
He shows you about his makeup too, right? Because
definitely.
got the chance and he came through.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
He never pouted. He never, you know, said one wrong word. He prepared like a darn starter every time.
He has the advantage of going through some growing pains, like you mentioned, as a starter last year as well. Did he grow from that, do you think? Or?
Yeah, I mean, last year is not my deal.
Right.
I wasn't here, so, you know, I don't really like to comment on stuff that I wasn't here a part of. But from understanding what he's doing now, you know, he's focusing on the things that we talked about. And one thing, he's got to be that general on the offensive side. He's got to be that general leading us and putting us in the right, you know, position as far as don't throw that pass because, you know, it's kind of close. You know, and it could get picked. You know, he's got to make sure, understand where he is on the field. You know, can I make this throw? Can I not make this throw? Are we in field goal range? Be smart about what you're doing. Don't try to force a lot of different things when they're not there. You know, so he's doing a lot of what we're asking him to do.
He's a bit more mobile than you give him credit for, just first glance too, right?
He's probably like me about 5 years ago, but no, he's really mobile. You know, and his legs are a plus. That's one thing that the defense can't, you know, plan against. You know, you can try to drop people off, but then it hurts you somewhere else. So, you know, that's one thing that helps him pretty big.
You speak to that fine line of a quarterback where, like you said, you got to throw it in areas where you need to throw it and work quickly. Where you could put it in an area where you have no business putting it there, but he has thrown some balls into pretty tight windows and they've been successful. Is it just trusting where you're throwing the ball, and when you're going to get it there?
You always got to trust yourself.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is that you got some distance for that ball to travel, and there's people in that vicinity. It's more than likely it's going to be very contested, or it's probably going to get picked. So, the fine line, it's the things that we talk about. He's going to have to throw some tight windows. That doesn't bother me, nor does it bother him. But, when your mind's telling you, I don't know if I can make this, you need to go elsewhere. And, it's just like that little clock that goes off in your head, or that little guy that sits on your shoulder when you're about to do something wrong. Say, hey, I don't know about this, so you need to change plans and go somewhere else.
We've seen some changes at running back. Some of that's injury with James Wilder being out. Malik played last game. The run game, I don't know. I'm just going to say the run game maybe isn't where you want it to be. Is probably not where you want it even close. But
if we're
tell
not
me.
pounding people into submission, then the run game's never where I want it to be.
Right.
Speaking of that, these guys have honed in. We went over a lot of film, different things of that nature, making sure they understand what we're trying to get them to do. Because, like you said, we have had a rotation of new guys, so we're just trying to make them understand where the O-line's blocking guys, where we want to bounce this ball, and different things of that nature. That's a learning process for them, because you really don't want to fool with a tailback too much and try to tell him how to run, but you got to tell him how you're blocking it. The rest of it is either natural, God-given, or he ain't got it.
Yeah.
Coach, BC left a bit of a black eye last time you guys faced him. Is this a measuring stick maybe as to how far you guys have come so far this year?
It's always a measuring stick. I guess I can't say about that, but I think the guys understand where they are. Each week that we come out, watching the film that we come back in, we know where we are. We've got to make sure that we, lock in, keep preparing, understand that we can't make these mistakes, because the good teams are going to take advantage of it. And that's what they've been doing the last few weeks, the turnovers, different things of that nature. We're always trying to win the turnover battle. If we can do that, we don't have the pre-snap penalties, we eliminate a lot of the other penalties during the whistle. That's what wins you football games.
They're going to play with a bit of a chip on their shoulder, do you think, this week? Or?
Hey, the way we try to prepare out here, you play with a chip on your shoulder every day. And that's practice and games. That's the only way you get better.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.